Hi everyone, my name is Shauna in case you don't know, and welcome back to another video. One of my favorite hobbies to do is go onto the different streaming services, type in a different Harry Potter actor's name, and then watch everything that pops up for their name. So I have been doing that recently with Daniel Radcliffe. I'm a huge Daniel Radcliffe fan. I think he is one of the least problematic celebrities that there is. I mean, granted, he's not perfect. Nobody in this world is perfect, but he is pretty unproblematic and he's just an all-around nice human being. And so I have been watching as many of his stuff as I can, and I want to start a series on my YouTube channel where I'm just basically going to be watching all of Daniel Radcliffe's movies and talking about them. I will eventually create a playlist with all of the Daniel Radcliffe movies and shows that I'll be talking about, but this is the first one in the series, so the playlist probably won't be up now. It'll be up with the next video. With this series, not only will I be watching different Daniel Radcliffe movies and shows, but I'll also be telling you where you can watch them. Now this varies. When I tell you where to watch one, go get on it right away if you're interested in that movie or show, because Prime Video especially is where I'm getting a lot of these Daniel Radcliffe shows, and they are only on there for a limited time, because I remember that Woman in the Black was on Prime Video in the past, but I did not watch it in time. And so I feel like with Daniel Radcliffe movies, they sometimes just like cycle which ones are available on Prime. And yeah, so the ones that are available currently aren't necessarily the ones that were available 6 months. It really varies and changes. So just stay on top of this. Again, if a video that I talk about interests you, go watch it immediately as soon as you can. For today's video, I'm going to be talking about the movie Jungle. This was a 2017 film based on a true story. There is a book for this film that was based on the real person's story of what happened, and I'm going to be checking that out soon because I love reading and I'm really interested in this story. Jungle is about this guy named Yossi, and Yossi is from Israel, and he was sort of like a strict family. Like, he felt like his future only had like one path for him, but he wanted to carve his own future, so he starts exploring and backpacking and adventuring. He goes to South America, where he meets two other people who are also backpackers, and as they're trying to find their next adventure, they find this guy named Carl, and Carl says that he knows where there is a lost Indian village that no one has ever seen before, and so he tells them that he is going to take them to this lost Indian village. So they go on this long trek through the wilderness to get there. Unfortunately, some situations occur where Yossi ends up getting separated from the rest of the group. So Yossi is stranded by himself for 3 weeks, and he miraculously is able to survive. I'm going to be trying to avoid spoilers until the very end of this video, so I will warn you when the spoilers start, but the spoilers have not started yet. So as you can tell, this story is very, very intense. Any sort of survival story like this is granted to have graphic scenes. However, I feel like Jungle has even more graphic scenes than a lot of the survival movies that I've seen. I'm going to tell you what these graphic scenes are. You may view them as spoilers, but however, I feel that you need to understand what I mean by very graphic when I say that this movie is very graphic, so you can decide whether this is a good movie for you or not. First of all, there's a monkey that is killed and shot, and then his head is bashed in, and then they cook it over a fire and you can see the monkey's skull. Very disturbing. I was like on the verge of puking and crying at that scene. Another one is that one of the characters pulls a worm out of their head. A live parasite that had ingrained itself in their head. They didn't have anesthesia or anything. And then there's also a scene where a character is eating a bird fetus, and there's also some really bad injuries that are shown in the film. Other than that, those are like the most graphic things that I can think of. They're very hard for me to watch. This is rated R for a reason. If you think that these might be a little too hard for you to watch, just like skip past those scenes or skip this movie as a whole. I personally thought it was a really good movie, but I can see how it is not for everyone. I thought that this movie was really crazy, the story that was happening in it, for two different reasons. First of all, I thought it was incredible that Yossi survived so long in the jungle by himself. There are so many different creatures and different things that can happen in the forest, starvation, all of those different things that easily could have taken him out, but he was so determined to keep surviving, and at times it was really hard for him, but he kept pushing through. I thought that was crazy and incredible. The other thing that I thought was crazy is that Yossi is hallucinating a lot when he is in the jungle. He's so fatigued, he's had so many infections, he's really like hallucinating and not really seeing things straight. And so it's crazy because you're watching this and you think one thing is happening, but it could completely not be happening because it could be hallucinating. But on the other hand, the actual guy that this story is based off of was hallucinating when he was in the jungle, so you don't know how much of the story is actually true in general or not that they're depicting in the movie. Like, yes, they tried to stay as accurate to what actually happened to these men as possible, but because Yossi was hallucinating, you can't 100% portray exactly what happened because Yossi probably doesn't even know himself. He just knows that it was really hard and that he survived, and he remembers stuff, but was it a hallucination? Was it real? I don't know. I thought that Daniel Radcliffe's acting was incredible in Jungle. I feel like every movie that he's been in, the acting is so different from each other, and he really captures these characters really, really well. He has an Israeli accent in Jungle, and occasionally he did slip out of it a couple times when he was like yelling and frustrated, which I understand why, but I thought that overall his acting was incredible. It was nothing like any of the other characters that I've seen him play before. Also, you get to see his naked butt, and if you have a crush on Daniel Radcliffe, like I know a lot of people do, then you get to see his naked butt in the film. So yeah, this movie did start out pretty slow, which is always tough for me when a movie starts out slow because I have a very low attention span, but I stuck with it and it got so much better. It doesn't really like speed up until the actual survival elements start happening when Yossi is actually separated from the rest of the crew. And those are really my thoughts that are spoiler free that I can talk about right now. I thought that it was an incredible film. I thought that it was really good. It definitely is not the best film out there, but because it's depicting a true story, I can't be like, oh, it's an awful film, because it was depicting a true story, something that actually happened. I think there was things that could have been slightly better in the film, and I definitely think that it was a pretty solid film, and I would recommend watching it if you're into survival stories and if you can handle some gory and graphic stuff. Now onto the spoiler section. Click away from this video if you do not want to hear spoilers, but what I'm about to talk about is based not on the movie, but on the actual story of what happened to Yossi. Okay, if you're still here, I am assuming that you are okay with spoilers. When I finished watching the film, I was really heartbroken and sad because I was learning about the real story and then I was like Googling stuff about it. It's like a really sad film. So Yossi was in there with Carl, okay? Carl is the guy who like told them to go there. And then he was also there with his friends Kevin and Marcus. And then Kevin and Yossi got separated from each other and those two people survived. But we don't know what happened to Marcus because Carl took Marcus into the jungle to find a different way back to town, but Marcus was never seen again and Carl was never seen again. But they found out after the fact that Carl was a very wanted criminal and that he would just take people into the jungle and nobody really knew why. And they don't really know why Carl chose these three men to take into the jungle, and there wasn't actually Lost Indian Village apparently. So I felt really bad for Marcus because we don't know what happened to Marcus and he is probably dead today. And if he isn't dead, I really like worry what's happening to him because what did Carl do to him? I hope that if Marcus is dead, which I'm guessing he is, I hope he is in like heaven or whatever idea you have of the afterlife. I hope he's in the happy place because he really did not deserve anything that happened to him in this story. And if he is alive, I hope he's like thriving and surviving, like maybe in a hidden village or something. I hope that Carl is either dead or I hope that he gets caught someday because he is so messed up. What he did to these people is sick and disgusting and cruel, and he is a pathetic excuse for a human being. And yeah, I don't really care about hearing Carl's side of the story. I just care that he gets caught someday or that he is not alive anymore because I do not want him doing this to any other people. It is so awful what happened. And yeah, that's really all I have. I don't really like to say, oh, I hope someone is dead, but like in this case, he was taking people into the jungle and possibly leading them to their death because these people were not seen again. So it's like, it's so messed up. I can't believe that a person like that survived so long, especially that he's like a wanted criminal. It was just really awful and really sad. I was trying to read up on the story and find out more about it, but as far as I'm aware, they weren't able to find Carl or Marcus ever. I mean, this could change if you're watching this video much in the future, like maybe something was uncovered about it, but it doesn't seem like right now there's anything more about this story that they've discovered. So those were all of my thoughts on the movie Jungle. You can watch the movie Jungle on Amazon Prime Video. It is still up as this video is being uploaded. Again, I highly recommend watching it as soon as you can if you're interested in watching Jungle, because I'm guessing that it will go off of Prime Video at some point and another Daniel Radcliffe movie will take its place. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to me if you haven't already. All of my other social media will be linked down in the description below. If there's a Daniel Radcliffe movie or TV show that you want to hear my thoughts on it, feel free to leave that down in the comment section below as well. I have several more videos coming up in the future in this series about Daniel Radcliffe movies and shows. Next up is Guns Akimbo, so I will see you next Monday to talk about Guns Akimbo. Goodbye, everyone!